What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Real Talk with LSM. My name is Fred, and I'm so excited for this guest that we have today. Why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Hey guys, my name is Brock Templeman. I'm a lifelong lifer at Legacy, going back to the Johnson County Christian Church days. Grew up there, went to preschool, went through basically every level of LSM and kids programming there. Met a lot of friends, still have a lot of friends from there. Taught Fred how to dribble at sports camp when he was just a little one. And I'd like to think I helped him get to college level basketball, but that remains to be seen. So,
dude, it was all you. It was all you. You helped me get my chicken in the form and everything.
That's right.
It was great.
Whipped you into shape.
Exactly. At least I wasn't one of the kids who tried to run away from sports camp, though.
Right.
No. Well, I love it. I love Brock. He was one of my leaders at LSM for a long time. Stepped away for a little bit to help raise his son. How noble. I love that. But,
yeah, that's right.
But I'm hoping he comes back soon. So yeah, I'm very excited to have Brock here on the show with us today. But before we get started with our topic, we want to play a little bit of a game. And so here's the game. It is called Paul or Kanye. So basically, I'm going to list off a couple of phrases or verses, and you have to guess, did Paul say this, the Apostle Paul, the guy who wrote most of the New Testament, or did Kanye West say this? All right. And bonus points if you can say the song or the scripture that he's referencing right now.
Oh, I don't know about that, but we'll see.
I had to look everything up. So if you can, I'll be very impressed.
All right.
Sweet. All right. Here's the first one. It is a weeping and a moaning and a gnashing of teeth. Who said that, Paul or Kanye?
Say Paul.
And the first one is a miss. That is Kanye.
Oh my goodness.
That is Kanye.
Oh man. This is going to be a lot tougher than I thought.
All right. Here's the next one. Look, I feel blessed. Way up, I feel blessed.
I'm gonna go with Kanye.
Correct. Okay. Kanye West. Yeah.
All right, I'm on the board.
You're on the board now. Sweet. All right. Here's the next one. For through the law I died to the law, so that I might live for God.
I'm gonna say Paul.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct again.
That's right.
That is 2. See, you're not that bad.
I'm not that bad. I'm gonna have to go listen to more Kanye after this.
All right, here's the next one. Dirt and grime and filth inside, the story of my lifetime.
I'm gonna go with Kanye.
Kanye is correct, man.
All right.
See, this is just a testament. Do not give up. Do not give up. You are now 3-1. I love this. Let's go.
I battled back.
Don't call it a comeback, though.
That's right.
All right, here's the next one. Understand then that those who have faith are children of Abraham. Who said that?
I'm going to say Paul.
Paul is correct. And that is in Galatians 3:7, if you guys were wondering. All right. Here's the next one. Sing till the power of the Lord comes down. Let everything that have breath praise the Lord. Is that Paul, the Apostle Paul, or is that Kanye West?
I feel like this one's a trick. I feel like I'm supposed to think this is Paul, but it might be Kanye. This one's tough. I'm going to go Kanye.
And you are correct.
Yes.
Let's go, bro. That is Kanye in his song Every Hour.
I have not heard that one, actually.
It's a pretty good one. It's on that. It's on his last album.
I'm going to check that out tonight.
Yeah. All right. Here's the next one. Brothers and sisters, let me take an example from everyday life.
That's the quote? That was it?
That was it.
Oh my. Oh, that's a tough one. That's tough. I'm gonna go Paul.
Brock, you are killing the game. You are killing the game. Galatians 3:15.
I'll take it.
This man knows his Bible. All right. Here's the next one. What am I saying? No, what I am saying is that as long as an heir is underage, he is no different than a slave, although he owns the whole estate. Is that Paul or Kanye?
These are tough. These are so tough. Man, somebody put some effort into this game. This is tough. I'm gonna just go out on another limb and say Kanye. Don't do me like that.
That is Paul. That's such a weird Kanye verse.
I know. I was like, that'd be something that Kanye would say.
That is, if he says whoopty poopty scoop, then he would probably say that too.
Exactly.
But you can find that in Galatians 4 verse 1. All right, here's the next one. To whom the Son set free is free indeed. He saved a wretch like me. Was that the Apostle Paul or is that Kanye West?
Man, I feel like both those guys could say that. I will say, it's another toss-up. That's so close. Props to whoever made this. I would say Kanye.
And you are correct. That is Kanye West in his song Selah.
That's tough. That whoever made this game, if that was you or Brittany or Jamie Schools or something.
Shout out to Brittany Schools. We love you.
Right. All right. Definitely wasn't Jamie.
It wasn't Jamie. Exactly. All right. Here's the next one. We got two more. All right.
All right.
I plead with you, brothers and sisters, become like me, for I became like you. You did me no wrong. Who said that? The Apostle Paul or Kanye West?
I'm going to guess Kanye.
Gosh. That is Paul in Galatians 4 verse 12.
All right.
4 verse 12. I think
I need to read Galatians 4 again because
just all of Galatians. Every single one of these scripture references is in the book of Galatians. I even Googled it just to make sure. So, all right. Here's the last question. All right. Every knee shall bow, every tongue confess, Jesus is Lord.
I'm going to say Paul. Are you serious?
He missed the money ball.
This game, man.
This is Kanye West in the song Jesus is Lord.
Man, I haven't heard that's his latest album?
Mm-hmm. Jesus.
I haven't heard that yet.
No, man. That's where we get closed on Sunday. Closed on Sunday.
Oh, gotcha.
My Chick-fil-A.
Need to add some Okie Joes in there, too.
Oh, that is true. That is true. They're Christian. Well, maybe. I don't know. But anyway. Well, thanks for playing with us, Brock. Hey, you got most of them.
I'll take like 70% or 60%.
That's passing.
That's right.
You can work on a car if you get a C in college.
C's get degrees.
Exactly. Well, so today I brought Brock on the show with me today because I believe this man is like a discipleship guru. Why? Because today we are talking about spiritual maturity. You know, what is actually spiritual maturity? And Brock was one of the best small group leaders that I've had. I know he was one of the best small group leaders before the previous youth minister. Like he said, he was always volunteering at camp, serving at LSM for the middle schoolers and younger students when he was in high school. Just been around it. He's a future elder one day. This man, well, I'm prophesying that over you. I'm not saying like,
the book of Fred.
Exactly. But I really wanted to bring this man on because he's done a lot of great work. He knows a whole lot. He has just like a lot of practical experience and wisdom on this topic. So to start off today, here's the first question that we have for you, Brock. What is the difference between spiritual knowledge or biblical knowledge and spiritual maturity?
It's a good question. I think the difference between spiritual knowledge and spiritual maturity would just be the application of your spiritual knowledge versus just knowing it. Knowing a thing is not the same as being that thing. So, even the demons know about Jesus and they know all the facts about Jesus, but it doesn't make them a follower of Jesus. So, in the same way, us knowing biblical facts, just knowing them without actually practicing them, that's kind of the difference. So if you're not practicing, the stuff you've actually learned and you're not living the word, you're not really spiritually mature. You're still in that spiritual baby phase. And, everyone's at that phase at some point. Everyone's a new creation and a new Christian, and it's not a bad thing to be in that phase. But at the same time, just like in real life, we don't want to be eating baby food, all of our life. There's a lot more that God has planned for us. So I think the main thing is, spiritual maturity comes from actually acting on your spiritual knowledge.
Yeah, I love that. I would really agree with that. I think that one is about facts and the other is about action.
Mm-hmm.
Or like one is about learning and the other is about growing
Right.
in your faith, like people have the knowledge of like knowing that 2 + 2 = 4, but knowing why and how 2 + 2 = 4 and how you can apply that to your life is the wisdom and maturity that comes behind that knowledge. That was a dumb example. Here, how about this? My oldest
I followed
sister,
it.
You followed it, yeah. My oldest sister, Brittany, she was in high school when I was in elementary school, and she was fluent in Spanish because she was working at it all the time. Always in her room studying Spanish every single day. Well, it was my job as a baby brother to spy on all my sisters constantly each day. And so while I was on my rounds and on patrol and spying on Brittany, sometimes I would hear her practicing her Spanish. And I'd be able to pick up some of the words that she was saying, and I could say them. I didn't know what those words meant, but I knew how to say it. And every once in a while, she'd catch me, beat me up, and then talk to me real quick a little bit and teach me some of the phrases or something like that, And I could say those phrases, but that's about it. Now, I would tell you that I spoke Spanish. But if you ask me to read Spanish, if you ask me to apply it, or why did this word make this sound or this do that, I couldn't tell you anything like that. I knew it, but I wasn't mature in it. I wasn't wise in it. And so Pharisees have a lot of spiritual knowledge, a lot of biblical knowledge. They know a lot of the facts, they know a lot of the rules, but they have no maturity because they couldn't apply that to their everyday life. They lived by the rules, but they didn't live by their faith. And so, just like you were saying, man, I think it's just about the action, about actually doing it. You know what I mean?
And about discipline too, to actually do it. It's one thing to like know the knowledge of like, I need to be doing this. And then when it comes to that situation, you end up choosing yourself and the worldly pleasures over, maintaining a spiritual discipline to actually choose the correct thing to do in that time.
Exactly. It's that choice. It's that taking that next step, because something with knowledge and not action, it leaves room for complacency. You can know all the facts, but then be complacent with staying the same.
I actually had a Bible verse for this, Fred.
Please share it.
James 1 verse 22. It says, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word," this is verse 23 here. It says, "Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in the mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do." So I think that kind of lays it out. Like if you just hear the word and don't do it, you're just deceiving yourselves. You're being a fool.
And that's the whole vision of legacy. The opposite of that. Living the word. Being a biblical community, living the word. What is living the word? What does that mean? It means doing it, going out and making disciples, going out and living and preaching what the Bible is saying, and sharing that with our friends. I love that. And now it kind of leads into this next question, which we're going to answer, and I'll tackle it first. It's a question of what is the definition of a spiritually mature person? And after doing some research and everything, this is kind of the definition that I kind of put together. I actually put together like a literal definition, but it's found in a lot of different places. Spiritual maturity comes when the knowledge you possess affects the way you live and deepens your relationship with Jesus. So in other words, if you're not changing the way you live, or if the gospel isn't changing the way that you live, you're not a spiritually mature person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it can all be kind of wrapped up within Matthew chapter 4, when Jesus says, "Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men." Well, there are two things within that statement: follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. And within those two things, love God and love others. If you're loving God, you're a disciple of him. If you don't love God, you're not a disciple of him.
Mm-hmm.
Love others, which means reaching out to others, which means telling them about Jesus. There is no greater love than the gospel. And so if we're not sharing the gospel with other people, we're not loving other people. Mm-hmm. So if we're not loving other people in this way, we're not sharing the gospel with them, then we're not a disciple of Jesus. It's not changing the way that we live. If we hear the word and we're not changed by it, we remain the same, that's not spiritual maturity. Because maturity is also to be able to learn from something and change and grow from it. You know, like a lot of people think like facts and knowledge is wisdom or maturity. Like we have a lot of people today who think they're mature, think they're wise, but really they've just read some stuff on Wikipedia or heard somebody else talk about it, and now they're an expert in it. But that's not wisdom. That's not maturity. That doesn't change the way you live. You know? You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You know, growing up in sports, you know, whenever I would make a mistake, you know, in a baseball game, I'd drop a ball or miss a shot or just do something just stupid decision making wise out on the court or the field. I would always, you know, come back to this statement. My dad would always tell me that it's not so much what you did, it's what you do next, and that really defines you. And that really applies here. In that, like, it's not so much like you read the whole Bible, great. Like you did a daily devotional, great. What did you do next? Like, what did you actually do anything, or did you just read it and check off the checkbox? So I know if you're not actually like putting the word into action, you know, you're not really doing anything next. What you did next is you didn't do anything.
100%. I mean, that's why we see Jesus scolding the Pharisees so often, or scolding his disciples, where he's saying, it's not like you don't know the word. You do know the word. Some of them, you studied it for your whole life. Others, I personally taught you the word. Why aren't you growing? Why aren't you learning? You know?
Right.
And it's the same thing with all of us, because we always continue to mature because we're constantly having to grow. Just like our bodies and our nature is constantly growing and maturing as we grow older in age, spiritually we are. And so that kind of leads us to our next question as well, Brock. How did you become spiritually mature? And how are you continuing to mature spiritually?
So I'm really hard on myself with everything, whether it's, you know, business or competition, or I kind of see everything as competition, which is a good and a bad thing. So I always think, you know, I always see my spiritual maturity as a process. I never want to get to the point in life where I'm like, oh, I'm spiritually mature, I'm done, I've checked that box and I'm just going to coast. You know, Paul talks about, you know, this life, spiritual walk being, you know, race, and it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. And, you know, I think for me, I think probably my biggest hurdle was learning how to read my Bible. And whether that was, you know, actually carving out time or actually understanding what I'm reading, because some of the text can be overwhelming and, you know, challenging to actually understand context and meaning. And I've actually had a lot of growth with a study Bible, where it provides, you know, actual commentary alongside the word that, you know, it helps me along there. And you know, getting to where you're, praying daily, and you're praying for others, and like Fred was saying, loving others on a daily basis, and not just praying for your own selfish needs of, my checklist of what I want every night, in order for my life to be perfect and as painless as possible. So I think the combination of transforming my prayer life about others and not just myself, getting in the word, understanding the word more. And that's still probably my biggest struggle, is just my time. I just feel like everyone's probably in this situation, but it's just the busyness of, you can always find something to do, like, and never rest your mind or your soul. And I think, it's important that we all schedule, put this on our schedule first before everything else, rather than try to fit it in last. So that's kind of where I'm at, with my maturity walk. Like I said, I'm probably never going to see myself as mature spiritually, just because I'm always trying to improve.
Right, right. And so when did this quest to become spiritually mature, when did this begin for you?
So I grew up in the church, my whole life. I would say realistically, probably junior high. I started kind of taking the next steps to make, my, the faith my own, rather than just going to church because my parents drugged me there and told me to wake up on Sunday mornings. And I really started to buy in, to youth group. I really started to try to invest into the lives of others and encourage, and love on people intentionally. And so I think junior high is really that time. Um, I had a youth pastor by the name of Jed Fuller, and I was actually texted him last week. And so, I do think it's, being involved, was important for me, because it was accountability for me. And I would like to think that I've grown in my maturity since junior high. In some ways, I'm always going to be a kid, but like I said, I would like to think I've grown, there spiritually.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I love that. And through putting in these disciplines of Bible reading, prayer, mentorship, like you said with Jed, um, what changes did you start to see and did other people start to see within you?
So definitely I used to be, like, if you can believe it, I used to be a really negative person. And I could always find like the negative, like no matter if I would have won the lottery, like I would have been like, oh, I got to pay all these taxes, or, just the negatives. Like, it was so stupid, because there's so many like good things happening to me and around me, that I was just so focused on the negatives. And really, when I got involved in junior high, that's kind of when I changed my outlook. And I guess it wasn't really me that changed it. It was having the joy that is, coming from eternal hope. um you know Nothing really was as bad as what I had previously thought it was, like in the context of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I studied more and read more and was around mentors and started loving others, like I was basically forcing myself to mature, through that process. And, now I think most people would say I'm one of the more positive people, enthusiastic, encouraging people. And, that's kind of like my spiritual gift of, showing God's love and joy through me and onto others.
Yeah, I would definitely say you're a very positive person, very energetic person. Um, I like what you said about you try to see things in the realm of eternity.
Mhm.
I think that's a huge indicator of being spiritually mature, because by default, we see what's right in front of us,
Mhm.
or we see a couple of feet down the road. We don't have the natural ability to look way far out in front of you. And honestly, my situation right now with my fiance being overseas, is forcing me to be able to see way into the future, because it's so much easier to sit around and mope and be upset
I've done
Because
that.
honestly, I'm in the middle of it. Like real talk, my fiance is literally halfway around the world.
Where is she?
She's in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Cambodia.
Janae spent 3 months in Spain when we were like 2 months into dating. I thought I was
Dang.
gonna die. I had to wake up at 6
Exactly.
a.m. for Skype calls. So I
Exactly.
feel
Like,
your pain.
right. So like it is, what time is it? It is 7:36 right now. Not when you guys are watching it, but like currently it is
Mm-hmm.
7:36 right now. It is 8:36 a.m. there. And then after daylight savings, it'll be a 12-hour difference. So it's a 13-hour difference. And so all I'm seeing is like she'll be gone for a year. And all I'm seeing is, my goodness, she's gone. This sucks. Lord, why did you do this to me? You know?
Warning lights buzzing in your brain.
Exactly. But it's taken like, and I'm still, and it's awesome that you learned that at such a young age. Because I'm learning it right now. If I have to see within the realm of eternity, you know, of this is just a current situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that bad. You're 6 months in, you got another 6 to go. It's cool. You almost have more time behind you than you do in front
That's
of
right.
you. And God is going to work through this situation, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But when you're not spiritually mature, you can't see into that realm,
Mm-hmm.
into the spiritual realm. And
You have time to do these podcasts.
exactly, I have time to do this.
Single man back here.
Exactly. See, I didn't have to ask for permission to be
That's
on
right.
the show. Brock did.
That's right.
Exactly.
Had to get permission from the boss.
Exactly. But yeah, like, and then it's having that perspective of the spiritual realm leads to joy, because that's the way how you can have joy throughout all situations, throughout all suffering that you go through. And so I love it, man. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your story right there. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So here's the next question. So again, you were a great LSM small group leader for me. I know you were a great one for the previous youth minister, Zach, as well. And you've always been a mentor. You've always served in some capacity within the church. And so what are some of the practices that you put into place to help foster and develop spiritually mature disciples within LSM, or maybe within your workplace, or just wherever you go, maybe within your family, just maybe mainly students, but then since we're talking to the students, but then also if you have other areas as well, I'd love to hear those too.
Yeah. So when I was leading, I was teamed up with Austin Muckenthaler, who is like a perfect yin to my yang, counterbalance, personality wise, spiritual gift wise. So we made a pretty good dream team. So I can't take all of the credit. I'll take most of it, but no, I'm just kidding, Austin. But yeah, what we would do, we would challenge our kids a lot, and basically force them to grow up spiritually. So whatever we were talking about that week, or that night at LSM, we'd say, okay, well, that's great and all, but like I said, what do we do next? Like, what do we do, like, actually this week, like tomorrow at school? What are you guys going to do? Or what are you going to do right now? You're going to pick up your phone right now and text 3 people, about whatever we talked about, and basically challenge them to challenge others. And really, when you start leading people, or like when you're thrust into the role of leading people, it makes you have to know your stuff. You can't fake it. Like, you can't be, or the people you're going to lead are going to see right through it, and you're going to have them lost in the first 30 seconds. And so, like, forcing these kids to go be leaders in their schools or in their like peer groups, it makes them have to know their stuff, and them have to be real, and them actually have to do what they're telling their friends to do. Otherwise they'll be hypocritical. So the first thing is just challenge them. The second thing was accountability. So it wasn't just enough for them to, us to say, hey, go do this, and then we just never follow up on it. We would text them, the next day or the next couple days, or sometimes daily, like in a group chat, just to see, how's it going with this? Are you guys actually doing this? Are you slacking? Are you do you not know how to do this? Kind of going through it with them and keep them accountable, not only for the stuff we challenged them on, but for their own like Bible times and quiet times, asking how it's going, asking if they're struggling, reminding them to do it, just kind of from a standpoint of challenging and accountability. It goes a long way with, making them grow up spiritually.
I love that. I love that a lot. And it's great because I was going to talk on that a little bit too, but what you said perfectly flows into the next question.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll kind of start this one off. How do we see Jesus foster spiritually mature disciples in the Bible? And again, I think, and I know you got these, every single practice you just talked about, you got from the Bible. And so that's why it matches up perfectly with the three things I even just kind of thought of.
Yeah, I wasn't telling a kid to get out of a boat and walk on water, but that's a challenge.
Exactly. But here's some of the things that I thought of when I was researching this. I thought, one, he spent quality time with them. And this is something that you did a lot too, that you didn't really talk about too much. I remember my second month in at Legacy, we were at ski retreat, and you and I are driving early to go down to make sure Snow Creek has all the
tickets.
The tickets. You were the ticket guru, man. We were lost without you the last time we did it.
I was lost half the time.
But as we were driving down there, you told me this crazy story about how often you play video games like online with your kids. Do you remember what you told me?
I don't remember. What did I say?
It was something insane, like 8 hours a week.
Or more. Yeah, that's easy. That was probably at least that.
See, that's crazy.
I don't
even play 8 hours of video games a week, and you with a wife and kid were playing at least 8 hours a week of video games online with your kids. But your students were glued to you in Austin because you guys did that kind of stuff. You spent time with them. You spend so much time with them, and that is so important. That's one of the things that we see Jesus do throughout the Bible. We see him spend time with them. I'm not exactly sure how long it was, but I'm going to guess like for at least the first 9 or so months of Jesus' ministry, that's all he did was spend time with them. He didn't even really reveal himself to them about who he really was. I mean, they knew, all right, this dude is kind of special. There's something about this guy, but they didn't know who he was. He wasn't really performing a lot of miracles or teaching them a whole lot of stuff because he was building that relational time with them. He was breaking down those barriers and building up that trust, and that trust that can only be broken down or earned with time.
That just shows you how special Jesus was, because like you think about it, like he spent like every waking moment with them. Just think about us spending every waking moment with these kids at a summer camp. After 5 days, you're like, all right, I need a break. I need a night off.
Real talk. Like the campus pastor, either Jack or Nick, have to convince me to keep my job after some of those camps.
Yeah,
I'm kidding, but no, that is amazing that he was doing this. I had the patience to be with them. That is so cool. Like you were saying, he ate with him. They slept in the same place. They traveled together. They spent every waking moment together. And so like, number one, he spent time with them. Number two, he taught them the scriptures and he taught them the way to live. Like, and he didn't just mention them. He broke them down. And we even see specific places where he's talking with the people. Maybe he's preaching the Sermon on the Mount. He's given a parable of this person or that person. But oftentimes in the Bible, you'll see him pull his disciples aside and say something along the effects of, to them I speak in parables, but to you, I'll break this down and I'll really tell you exactly what it means. He was teaching them exactly what the Bible meant and exactly what it was saying, so that they had a clear foundation of what the Bible is. And I saw you do that, and Austin do that with your students. I try to do that with my freshman boys right now. We try to teach our LSM leaders to do that as well. But he really was intentional about teaching them the word, because he knew if you didn't have a strong biblical foundation, it would be that much easier to fall to temptation and to fall to the distractions of this world. And then also, he sent them out to practice what they were taught. So again, like you say, you're giving your boys and girls, when you were all combined at some points, practical applications. Okay, sweet, we talked about it. What are you going to do about it? Why don't you do this? And I'm going to check in with you tomorrow about it. Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
That accountability, that practice. Like, we see him send out to 12. We see him send out to 72. He tells them exactly what to do. He says, if they accept you, give them a greeting of peace. If they reject you, dust off your boots and go into the next town. Don't trip over it. He tells them, be positive, eat the food that they're given to you. Like, he tells them exactly what to do. He tells them how to evangelize. He shows them how to practice it. And I think those are all great things for us to implement. And again, I just love how perfectly those all lined up with what you just said.
Because, I mean, if you think I was like thinking about this, and like also, like, you know, when he's telling them to go out and, you know, practice this, like, just think about the challenges he gave these guys. Like, you know, or just not even his like disciples, like random people, like, you know, that would equate to like random people in, you know, the high schoolers schools. Like, if you went up and said, you know, hey, drop everything and follow Jesus, like leave everything behind materially and come follow, like, that's radical. Like, that's a challenge, like, to somebody, a stranger at the time, like, didn't know who this guy was. Or, you know, let the dead bury your dead. Like, my father's died. Like, can I go bury him? No. Like, stop and come now. Like, don't even go bother with your dead father. Like, that's crazy radical. Like, that challenge. Like, even the Great Commission to the disciples, you know, go and tell all nations. Like, that's impossible for those 12 guys to do. Like, they're like, I can't do that, like, on my own. So that challenged those guys to be like, oh, I got to think way bigger than just this town or that town or this town. Like, I got to start churches. I got to plant. I got to water. I got to, you know, I can't do this on my own. Like, this challenged my vision to be bigger. So, like, the stuff he challenges, like us, even our daily lives, it's going to be out there. Like, it's going to make us scared. It's going to be like impossible, but it's stuff he's been doing, you know, while he was on earth. He was doing that.
He was challenging everyone to do it. I love that. And I remember a conversation I had with you a while ago when we were talking about discipleship and this challenge. And the challenge is, go make disciples. What is a disciple? Disciple, the literal definition is a student. All right. But in this case, it's a student of Jesus. It's a follower of Jesus. And when you become a follower of Jesus, a student of Jesus, it is your job then next to go make a disciple. And so I love how you phrase it one time, because your job as a disciple maker is not even really fully yet complete until your disciples are making disciples.
Right.
Because that is the job of a disciple maker.
Yeah, they're not a disciple. Right. Yeah. You haven't made a true disciple until they've made a true disciple.
Exactly.
If they don't make a true disciple, were they a true disciple? No.
Exactly. It's a process. And so that's why also, man, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but like I was listening to Jim Putman, who wrote this book, Discipleship, and he's a good dude. Well, I don't know him personally, but I'm guessing
he was over for Thanksgiving last year.
Exactly. No big deal. He liked my mom's fried chicken. But something that he said was pretty convicting to me. He said, most people are invited to a service and not into a relationship. He asked the question, who is your mentor, and what did they do with you? And I was thinking about it. And I had some here in high school, and I didn't. Like Shane White was my youth minister. John Carr was a great small group leader for me. Brother John, love you, man. But when I think about really, really being intentionally discipled every day, every moment, that didn't happen to me until I was 21, when I was working at a previous church where I was still attending Manhattan Christian College, Art Matheny. And he was the discipleship pastor at that church, and a great mentor of mine. And we talked all the time. and I saw so much growth, like monumental growth in myself throughout that time frame. And then when I got back here, I knew what it was like to have one, and I couldn't go back from that. I couldn't go back to the way I was. And so Jack and I really started doing that. And then when Jack left, I'm like, oh no, I need this again, And so Nick and I, campus pastor, we meet and talk. And then Andy Gilmore, just a layperson in the church, really, really great man. Him and I meet and we talk frequently. And I still meet with the previous guy from Manhattan and just talk with him every once in a while. But it's about this relationship. It's not just being invited to a service, because when you're at a service, and like when your only sense of discipleship is just a service, you're going to fall off. Right. Because it's like there's no accountability. There's no real accountability there when you're only just coming on a Sunday morning. And because of that accountability, there's no one to.
You're not being challenged. Yeah, you're not being challenged. Yeah, you're not going to grow if no one's.
There's no growth. You're going to plateau. Right. You're going to feel like, okay, sweet, I'm great. I've reached spiritual maturity and I'm good. And without that accountability, you're not going to. And so that's the great part. And that's such the thing about Jesus, as we see and with you and us and our other small group leaders. We have to be relational with it. We really have to be relational. Like, I love one night where we challenge all of our students to invite one friend who doesn't know Jesus. But here's the thing. We want you to invite one friend who doesn't know Jesus, not just some random person. If you invite some random person, sweet, God's going to work through that. But if you have that relationship with them, that helps with the follow-up. Right. That helps them have investment in you and comfortability with you, and they're gonna grow through you. They're not gonna grow through me just talking to them once a week. Right. I might help. I might spark a flame here and there, but it's really gonna be like you're the one planting that seed with them. And so, yeah, man. I don't know. That just really inspired me with that. I love that.
That was good. I loved it.
I appreciate it, man. Sweet. Well, I got one more question for you, Brock, while you're here with us. And then again, very thankful for you coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. I love it.
I get my check at the end of this, don't I?
Yeah, exactly. It's negative $50.
Yeah, I gotta pay. That's
right. So here's the last question for the night. What are some steps that we can take to become more spiritually mature Christians? Just some easy, practical things that we can do.
Yeah, so I think like it just kind of circles back on everything we chatted with. I think obviously, like you said earlier, we need to get in the Word daily. Like we got to know the facts first. If we don't know what we're supposed to do, we have no chance. So we got to get in the Word daily. The second part, I think, to be more spiritual mature is we need to get an accountability partner. And so an accountability partner is not only going to help you stay in the Word and get in the Word daily, but that accountability partner is going to, be able to, speak with you and follow up with you on places you're struggling, and not only just, follow up with you on temptations and struggles, but also challenge you, basically iron sharpening iron. So I think, getting in the Word, getting an accountability partner, and then the last one kind of goes in hand with the second one, but just find somebody that can challenge you, whether that's your accountability partner, whether it's Fred, whether it's me, whether it's Reggie, although I don't know how much time he has for all the high school students, but, just find a youth coach to say, hey, challenge me, like push me, like don't let me plateau. Don't let me be complacent, like push me to grow. And not only in high school, but like when you go to college, like they're still going to text you. They're still going to check up on you. I still text my college guys. I feel old because I just had one of my college girls, Haley Langstrat, just like posted on Twitter, like senior night, like on her Twitter. I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel so old. But it's like all those people, like I still feel like they were just here yesterday. And I feel like, if any of them needed anything, like I would, at the drop of the hat, be able to, pick up the phone and chat or, do anything for them. And so, the youth coaches are a tremendous resource for being challenged. Fred gets pulled a lot of different directions, but he is a tremendous resource to challenge you guys, on Sundays, on LSM nights, at events. These are things that you need in your life. You need to be in the Word. You need to have an accountability partner, and you need to have somebody challenging you, pushing you to not be complacent.
I love that. I think you spoke to a lot of great stuff. Two things I'd like to add to that too. To put it simply, I think something that we need to do within this is love God and love others. Love God and love others. These, Jesus said that these are the two greatest commandments of them all. When we love God, we are wanting to grow deeper in relationship with Him. We wanted to read His Word. We're wanting to stay accountable. We're wanting to be challenged. We want to do all that. We want to follow His commands. And when we love others, we are obeying His command to reach out and make disciples of all nations, to make disciples who make disciples. And so within all of that, that's our quick little list of 5 things to do.
The hit list.
The hit list, man. I love it.
Now that's what I call music, like 490. It'll be like, now that's what I call spiritual maturity.
We're going to start a trend, man. We're going to trademark that. I love it.
That's right.
I love it. Well, Brock, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today and speaking some wisdom, having some fun with those Paul versus Kanye quotes. You actually did a pretty good job with that.
I'm going to have to brush up on some of my Kanye, I guess, the next time.
It's great. You really need it. It helps a lot. Well, guys, until next time, this is Real Talk with LSM, and we will see you guys later.